I came home to find my ex on my couch with my house key in her hands. After I refused to let her move back to my place, she smirked surprise. I made sure she regretted it. Hey Reddit, I, 31 male, work as an industrial equipment inspector, homeowner for about 3 years now. I bought the place myself with a little help from my parents on the down payment. Single, live alone, keep my circle small and my boundaries smaller. That last part's going to be important. So on a random Tuesday morning, coffee in hand, my phone buzzes, Vesper, my ex. 3 years of radio silence beyond the obligatory holiday text and a stray Instagram like. Now hitting me with, hey, big news. Got a job offer back home and I'm moving back. Need a place to crash while I look for an apartment? Just a couple weeks. You're still at the same place, right? We dated 2.5 years. Broke up when she moved for grad school. Clean split, nobody cheated, just grew apart. Stayed cordial after. Holiday texts. Social media comments twice a year. That level of friendly. Cordial doesn't mean crash at my place whenever you want. Thought that was obvious. Apparently, 3 years of barely speaking translates to, we're basically still family in her world. Texted back, congrats on the job. Can't help with housing though. Try an extended stay. She pushed back. We're adults. It's not weird. Just temporary. I kept it simple. Not going to work. Good luck with the move. Then came the classic deflection. Wow, didn't realize you were still hung up on the breakup? It's been 3 years. Because if I won't let her stay, I must be emotionally damaged. Couldn't possibly be that I just don't want an ex living in my house. That would make too much sense. Told her I wasn't hung up, just not interested in having a roommate. Especially an ex. Whatever. Guess I'll figure it out myself. Cool. Problem solved. Boundary established. Or so I thought. Few days later, got home from work around 6 to find my front door cracked open. Deadbolt wasn't engaged. First thought was burglary. Pushed the door open carefully. Phone ready to dial 911. Stepped inside slowly, checking corners like something out of a home invasion movie. Heart pounding. Sweat on my palms. I actually grabbed the decorative bat I keep by the door. Never thought I'd actually need it for anything besides looking tough. Then the smell hit me. Smoke. Burning. Something chemical and wrong. My eyes started watering before I even saw the source. For context, and this is going to sound stupid in hindsight, I'd been meaning to change the lock since my sister moved out about a month ago. She still had a spare key from when she was staying with me. Kept putting it off because who actually thinks their sister is going to hand that key to someone else? One of those tasks that sits on your mental to-do list and never actually gets done. Stupid. I know. My kitchen was on fire. Smoke pouring from the oven. Flames licking up the backsplash behind the stove. Cabinets above the range blackened and warped. It's a newer build. 2019 construction. And the HOA requires kitchen suppression systems in the development. Little canister thing above the stove. It had already gone off. White powder everywhere mixed with the smoke. Clearly wasn't designed to handle whatever the hell she'd done in there. Smoke detector screaming so loud my ears were ringing. The countertop was covered in baking supplies. Flour everywhere, mixed with the suppression powder into some kind of paste. Sugar spilled across the wet granite. Mixing bowls. A half-empty carton of eggs sitting out. Looked like someone had started an ambitious project and then just walked away from it while the oven cranked to maximum temperature and went nuclear. And there was Vesper, standing in my living room, mascara running down her face in black streaks, covered in flour and soot and that white powder from the suppression system. 3 massive suitcases lined up against the wall like she was checking into a hotel. Moving boxes stacked in the corner. She'd made herself completely at home while simultaneously burning the place down. I noticed she'd already plugged in her phone charger. Put a throw pillow from somewhere, definitely not mine, on my couch. Set up shop like this was move-in day. She smiled. Actually smiled. Like this was a funny story she'd be telling at parties later. Surprise! I was making you a thank you cake for letting me stay. Something went wrong with the oven. I think the temperature setting was off or something. The dial might be broken. I just stood there for a second. Couldn't process it. Part of me genuinely wanted to believe this was some kind of elaborate joke. That I was misunderstanding the situation. That there was some explanation that made this make sense. There wasn't. There never is with people like this. I didn't let you stay. I explicitly told you no. Multiple times in writing. What the hell are you doing in my house? Your sister let me in. She gave me your spare key. Said this casually, like it explained everything. Like sisters just hand out keys to people's homes all the time, and that's perfectly normal behavior. She said you were just being stubborn, and you'd get over it once I was actually here. Isn't she the best? I wanted to do something nice to show my appreciation for being so understanding about the whole thing. Appreciation for something I never agreed to. Understanding. that I explicitly refused to provide. While my kitchen smoldered behind her like physical evidence of her entitlement, Winslow, my sister, who had been living with me rent-free for 8 months while she found herself before finally moving out about a month ago, who still had that spare key I kept meaning to ask for back, who had contributed exactly $0 to utilities, groceries, or any household expense the entire time she stayed here despite having a full-time job. Finding herself apparently meant finding my couch and my Wi-Fi password and absolutely nothing resembling basic respect for other people's property or decisions. She gave you a key to my house? After I told you no? Yeah. She said you don't really mean no when you say no. You just need time to warm up to ideas. I thought the cake would help speed that up. Chocolate raspberry, your favorite from back when we were together. You remember, right? I remembered the cake. I also remembered saying no. Clearly. Multiple times. In actual words that have actual meanings in the English language. Something clicked. Not anger, strategy. I wasn't going to win this conversation, but I could win the paperwork. I didn't argue, didn't yell, just pulled out my phone and hit record, panned slowly, her face, the key still in her hand, the 3 suitcases, the moving boxes, the smoke damage behind her, the burnt cabinets, all of it. Evidence. She expected a debate, an argument, maybe some yelling she could cry her way out of later. I was building a timeline. She kept talking, not realizing what was happening. I really thought you'd appreciate the gesture. The cake was going to be, say that again. The part about my sister giving you the key, yeah, Winslow gave me the spare. She said you'd come around once I was actually here and she noticed the phone. Her smile flickered. Wait, are you recording this? Surprise, you just confessed on video. Her face went white. The smirk died. For the first time since I walked in, she looked genuinely scared. Good. Then I noticed the flames spreading to the upper cabinet and saw the ceiling starting to discolor from the heat, paint bubbling. This wasn't a conversation anymore. This was documentation. Grabbed my phone and dialed 911. Wait, what are you doing? Vesper's face shifted from apologetic to panicked in about half a second. The tears stopped like someone flipped a switch. You don't need to call anyone. It's just a small fire. I'll pay for the damage. We can figure this out ourselves, like adults, like mature people who don't need to involve authorities. You broke into my house and set it on fire. We're way past figuring anything out ourselves. Fire department took about 12 minutes. Felt like an hour. I was standing in my driveway watching smoke pour out of my kitchen window, while Vesper tried 3 different times to convince me to call them off, to handle this privately, to be reasonable, to think about what I was doing. Neighbors started gathering on the sidewalk. One of them offered to let me use their garden hose. I just shook my head. Another one was recording on her phone. Great. 2 trucks showed up. Full response. Firefighters went in, contained what was left, hosed everything down even though it was mostly out by then. Water damage on top of fire damage on top of suppression system damage. One of them came out eventually and looked at me with that tired expression people get when they've seen this kind of domestic situation before. Kitchen's pretty much gone. Can't give you a number. That's for your insurance adjuster. You're gonna need a police report for any claims though. That was it. Just, it's bad, get documentation, good luck. Police showed up maybe 20 minutes after the fire trucks. 2 officers. The whole process took forever. Lots of standing around, lots of waiting. They took statements from both of us separately. Vesper was in the living room talking to one officer while I was in the driveway, explaining the text messages to the other one. He scrolled through them on my phone, nodding occasionally, face completely neutral. Didn't react when he read the part where I said no 3 separate times. Just kept scrolling, making notes. At one point, he showed the screen to his partner and pointed at something. They exchanged a look that cops probably learn at the academy. This one's going to be fun to write up look. She tried everything. The tears, the confusion, it was just an accident routine. Told them she was trying to do something nice for an old friend. That her friend, my sister, gave her the key. That she had permission to be there. That she didn't mean for any of this to happen. That she'd pay for everything and make it right. The officer with me handed my phone back after scrolling through the conversation. So you told her no? Multiple times. Pretty clearly. Yeah, explicitly. I also have video. Showed him the recording. Her admitting the key. The evidence sweep. The whole thing. He watched it once. Then again. Showed it to his partner. They exchanged that look. The one that says this case just got a lot simpler. And she showed up anyway. With luggage. 3 suitcases, moving boxes, and then started a fire. He wrote something down on his notepad. Didn't say much else. You want to press charges? Yes, whatever applies. We'll write it up. Detectives might follow up depending on how they classify everything. They told Vesper she was being detained. Her face went white. You can't be serious. It was an accident. I was trying to bake a cake. Nobody goes to jail over a cake. Ma'am, you're also being formally trespassed from this property, the officer said. If you return for any reason, it's an automatic arrest. I didn't say anything. Didn't need to. The system was doing the talking now. They put her in the back of the squad car while the neighbors watched. Some of them definitely had their phones out. This was going to be neighborhood gossip for months. Her 3 massive suitcases sat on my water-damaged floor like props from a play that had gone catastrophically wrong. Tried calling Winslow. Voicemail. Called again. Voicemail. Texted. Call me now. She called back about 20 minutes later, sounding annoyed. Like I was interrupting her evening. What's the emergency? Vesper just got arrested. My kitchen is destroyed. She had your key. Long pause. Then she laughed. Actually laughed. You're being so dramatic. It was just a little kitchen fire. Insurance covers that kind of stuff. That's literally what insurance is for. You gave a key to someone who broke into my house and started a fire. After I explicitly said no. We're done. What do you mean done? You can't be done with family. I mean, I'm talking to a lawyer tomorrow morning. You gave her access. You're part of this now. She hung up on me. That night, I slept at a hotel because my house smelled like wet smoke and chemical suppressant and burnt wood. Cost me $120 a night, and the only available room was next to the ice machine and the elevator. Before I checked in, I stopped at a hardware store, changed the locks myself at 11 p.m. with a flashlight and a YouTube tutorial, inventoried every spare key I'd ever given out. There were 4. Emailed myself every screenshot and backed them up to cloud storage. The video of her confession, the text messages, everything timestamped and documented. By midnight, I had a case file. The insurance company's after-hours emergency line put me on hold for 45 minutes before a tired-sounding person told me an adjuster would contact me within 5 to 7 business days. So incredibly helpful. Some people learn boundaries through conversation. Vesper was about to learn them the hard way, assuming the system ever got around to processing any of it. Winslow finally responded the next morning with the most entitled text I've ever received in my 31 years of life. I can't believe you actually had her arrested. She's been texting me from jail crying all night. She had to call her parents to post bail. You know she doesn't have that kind of money. This is on you now. You ruined her life over a cake. A cake, Thayer. Over a cake. Think about what you're doing. Read it twice to make sure I understood correctly. She was genuinely blaming me for the fire, for pressing charges, for not being a doormat about having my kitchen destroyed by someone I told not to come. She broke into my house and set it on fire. That's not cake. That's criminal destruction of property. That's arson adjacent at minimum. It was an accident. She was trying to do something nice for you. Why are you always so hostile? Why do you always have to make everything into a huge dramatic production? I'm talking to a lawyer today. You're named in the police report as the person who gave her unauthorized access to my property. Mom wants to talk to you. Of course she did. 31 years old, and Winslow still runs to Mommy whenever the mean brother won't cooperate with whatever scheme she's cooked up. Some family dynamics are just baked into the DNA at this point. Mom called within minutes. Laid into me about having Vesper arrested, like some kind of criminal. She literally committed crimes. Multiple actual crimes. But sure, let's pretend that's all irrelevant, because she was just trying to be nice. Mom's argument was straightforward. That girl was part of this family for years. Every holiday, every birthday, every family barbecue and graduation party, and random Sunday dinner. I have a guest room sitting empty. It would cost me nothing to let her stay for a few weeks while she found a place. The fire was clearly an accident. Nobody intended for anything bad to happen. She was always so sweet to your grandmother. Remember how she used to bring her flowers? How she helped plan that surprise party for Dad's 50th? That's the girl you're treating like a criminal. Someone who loved this family. She broke into my house. Her history with Grandma doesn't change the police report. I told her my kitchen was destroyed, that I was living in a hotel with no clear timeline for when I could go home, that Vesper had broken in after being explicitly told no multiple times in writing. That accident doesn't mean no consequences. She called me vindictive, said she raised me better than this, raised me to help people when they needed it, raised me to forgive people who made mistakes. You raised me to let people walk all over me, to say yes when I meant no, to prioritize everyone else's comfort over my own basic boundaries. I'm glad I finally grew out of it. She demanded I drop the charges and apologized to Vesper for overreacting to an honest mistake. No, on both counts. Winslow's not welcome at my house anymore either. She gave away access to my home without permission. Dead silence on the line. Then, you can't ban your own sister from your house. Watch me. Mom started yelling about family loyalty and blood being thicker than water, and how I was tearing the family apart over nothing. How I was going to be alone forever with this attitude. Same script she'd used on Dad for 30 years whenever he tried to have an opinion she didn't approve of. I'd watched him cave to that pressure every single time. Then Dad got on the phone, the peacemaker, the guy who'd never held an opinion that survived contact with my mother's disapproval. He ran through the greatest hits. She didn't mean it. Think about what you're doing. Would it kill you to be flexible? That's why you're alone. Same guilt playlist, different vocalist. I'd rather be alone than be a doormat, Dad. Long silence. Mom whispering in the background. Same dynamic as always. Your mother's very upset. Can't you just drop this? For the family? No. He hung up. And I sat in that hotel room, realizing something important. I wasn't dealing with Vesper anymore. I was dealing with an entire system of people who'd spent decades training each other to fold under pressure. The only way to win was to stop playing their game entirely. So I stopped arguing. Started filing. Day 3. Got a lawyer. Guy named Reeves. Older, mid-50s, practical and direct. Billed by the hour and didn't waste time on sympathy or hand-holding. First meeting, he laid everything out. Criminal case is separate from civil. DA decides prosecution. Insurance is the primary recovery path. Document everything. Every receipt. Every hotel bill. Every meal I couldn't cook at home. Not the Avengers assembling. More like triage at an overcrowded hospital. But I wasn't looking for heroes. I was looking for someone who understood paperwork as a weapon. Day 6. Code enforcement notice on my door. Bright yellow paper about illegal rental activity. Anonymous complaint. Had to take time off work for an inspection that got rescheduled twice. When the inspector finally showed up, he walked through my obviously under construction house with a bored expression. Contractor's tools everywhere. Plastic sheeting. Smoke damage. Zero signs of rental activity. This is clearly nothing. Marking it unfounded. He made notes. Filing false complaints is a misdemeanor in this state. We document everything. Added it to the growing file. Day 9. My boss pulled me into his office. Got a weird call yesterday. Someone verifying your employment for a housing dispute. Female voice. Kept asking about salary information, employment dates. I told them I can't discuss employee information. That confirmed she was still playing games. Even with criminal charges pending. Still trying to build some kind of leverage. Forwarded that to Reeves. He said this kind of thing actually helps. Shows a pattern of harassment. Silver lining to her being too stupid to quit while she was behind. Day 11. Insurance adjuster finally showed up. Walked through with a clipboard and camera, occasionally sighing at the destruction. Kitchens totaled. Smoke damage. Water damage. Full report in 2 to 3 weeks. By then, I wasn't just dealing with a fire anymore. I was dealing with someone actively trying to manufacture a version of reality where she belonged in my house. So I stopped living like a guy with bad luck and started moving like a guy building a case. Reeves drafted cease and desist letters for Vesper and Winslow. Told me to lock down all my financial accounts because desperate people try weird stuff when they're cornered. Calling banks, redirecting mail, creating paper trails for claims. Called my bank that afternoon. Fraud alerts. Changed passwords. Multiple verifications on everything. Paranoid? Maybe. But I wasn't going to find out the hard way what she'd try next. Day 23. Insurance report came back. $34,000. Kitchen demo, cabinet replacement, countertops, appliances, smoke remediation, water damage repair, suppression system reset. The itemized list was 3 pages long. Each line felt like a middle finger from the universe. Contractor estimates came in around the same time. 3 different bids. Ranged from $28,000 to $41,000, depending on how much they thought they could upsell me on upgrades. One guy actually tried to convince me to add a wine fridge. My house just burned down, bro. Not really in wine fridge mode. Meanwhile, I was still living in that hotel. The one near the elevator and the ice machine. Every night at 2 a.m., someone decided they absolutely needed ice. Every morning at 6 a.m., housekeeping knocked even though I'd put the Do Not Disturb sign out. Every bill added to my documentation stack. Week 3.5. TRO got approved. Reeves filed it. Judge signed it. Vesper got served. The process server told me later she cried when she read it. Probably the first time paperwork made her face actual consequences, instead of just being something she could charm her way around. About 5 weeks after the fire, my doorbell camera pinged while I was at the hotel having breakfast. I'd installed the camera the week after everything happened. Should have had one already, but hindsight is perfect vision. Added to the list of things I should have done sooner, but didn't. Multiple people at my front door. Pulled up the feed on my phone. My parents. Winslow. And somehow, impossibly, Vesper. Out on bail and apparently undeterred by the temporary restraining order my lawyer had filed for and gotten approved about 10 days earlier. All four of them on my porch, one car in my driveway. They'd carpooled, coordinated, showed up together like some kind of family intervention. Here's the thing I pieced together later. They probably didn't know about the TRO, or at least they'd convinced themselves it didn't apply to just talking or trying to apologize. Mom apparently decided that if everyone came together and had a family conversation, the whole situation would blow over. That I'd see reason. That I'd drop everything if enough people pressured me at once. Classic family logic. If one person telling you to be reasonable doesn't work, try four people at the same time. Mom had even printed out a letter. I could see it in her hand through the camera feed. Actually typed something up, printed it, brought it along. Probably a bullet-pointed list of reasons why I should forgive everyone and move on with my life. Very her. I called my lawyer instead of the cops. Vesper's at my house, right now, with my entire family standing around her. The TRO was served last week. You're kidding me. Even Reeves sounded surprised. Don't engage. Don't go there. Don't respond to anything. Just let them incriminate themselves. I'm calling this in. Perfect. Every instinct in my body wanted to drive over there and tell them exactly what I thought of their ambush. But that's what they wanted. A scene. Something they could spin. Instead, I stayed in my hotel room and let the camera collect evidence while they performed for an audience that wasn't there. Watched the whole thing unfold through the feed. Mom knocking on the door aggressively, then pounding with her fist. Thayer, I know you can see this. We need to talk like a family. Open this door. Dad standing in the back with his hands in his pockets, looking like he desperately wanted to be anywhere else but wasn't willing to skip out on whatever Mom had organized. Winslow on her phone, probably live texting updates to someone about what a jerk I was being. Vesper doing the crying thing, talking directly to the camera like I could hear her through it. She actually tried waving at the camera at one point. Blew a kiss. Did that prayer hands gesture like she was pleading? Full performance. If I wasn't so angry, it would have been almost impressive how quickly she could switch between emotional states. Thayer, please. I know you're watching. I'm so sorry for everything that happened. Can we please just talk about this? I'll pay for all the damage. I'll do whatever you want. Just please drop the charges. Please. This is ruining my entire life. Violating a restraining order. On camera. With a timestamp. While my entire family stood there and watched and did nothing to stop her. Police showed up about 15 minutes later. 2 cars, 4 officers. Vesper saw them pull up and tried to create distance. Not exactly running, but definitely moving away from the property quickly, like that would somehow help her situation. It didn't. One of the officers intercepted her on the sidewalk. She started crying again immediately. The switch was that fast. They arrested her. Second time in just over a month. This time for violating a protective order. The bail situation got complicated because she already had pending charges. Her parents had to put up more money. Her lawyer, the public defender, apparently told her to stop doing things, which she was constitutionally incapable of hearing. Mom started arguing with the officers. Not screaming, but that aggressive, there must be some misunderstanding energy that makes cops' eyes glaze over. Kept trying to explain that they were just there to talk, that Vesper was only trying to apologize, that surely just standing on a porch didn't count as a real violation of anything. The officers were not interested in debating legal interpretations with her. One of them was taking notes, probably documenting witness interference or something equally annoying for her later. Dad just stood there the whole time. Didn't say anything. Didn't defend me. Didn't try to stop Mom. Just existed in the background like furniture, waiting for the situation to resolve itself. 30 years of marriage, and he'd perfected the art of being present without participating. Winslow told the cops I was harassing everyone with legal nonsense and that this was all my fault for being completely unreasonable about everything. They took notes on that too. Reeves later said her statement might actually help us if we needed to establish coordinated harassment. Sometimes people build your case for you. After Vesper was secured in the back of the patrol car, Dad finally called me. Thayer, this whole thing has gone way too far. She violated a restraining order. You were all there. You all watched it happen. She just wanted to apologize. We thought if we all came together as a family, if we all showed up to support a conversation, you brought someone to my property who has a court order saying she can't be there. That's not an apology. That's a crime. We didn't know about any court order. Maybe true. Maybe not. Didn't really matter at that point. You could end all this, you know. Drop everything. Let everyone move on with their lives. No. Your mother is beside herself over this. She just wants the family back together. Then maybe she shouldn't have organized an ambush. He hung up. Sunday morning, my phone exploded. Extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't talked to in years. Winslow had posted some dramatic sob story about her cruel brother tearing the family apart. Crying selfie included. Comments full of people calling me heartless without knowing a single fact. The family greatest hits album continued. Cold-hearted monster. Destroying the family over nothing. 3-paragraph essays about forgiveness from people I'd spoken to maybe twice. Everyone had opinions. Nobody asked what actually happened. They just wanted to perform outrage for the algorithm. Could have responded, could have posted my side, could have engaged with the circus. Instead, I screenshotted everything and forwarded it all to Reeves. Every accusation became evidence. Every public post became leverage. They thought they were burying me. They were building my case. Reeves warned me early on that the system runs on real time, not TV time. He was right, which is the most annoying kind of right. But here's what I learned. Delay isn't defeat. Every week that passed, my documentation got thicker. Every continuance gave insurance more time to finalize numbers. Every postponement let me collect more evidence of her harassment pattern. The court was slow. I was patient. And patience, when you're holding better cards, is just strategy that doesn't look like strategy. Month 2. Preliminary hearing finally happened. Judge flipped through the packet like he was skimming a menu. Asked the prosecutor 2 questions, barely looked up. Bound over for trial. Bail stays. Next case. That was it. No speeches. No moral lesson. Just conveyor belt justice. Vesper didn't even look at me on the way out. The restraining order violation moved faster because it was cleaner. She got served. She showed up anyway. The cops documented it. My doorbell camera did the rest. Courts love clean. Reeves laid out the endgame over coffee. Let the criminal case establish facts. Keep insurance moving. Document every expense. Don't get distracted chasing side issues. Focus on Vesper. Keep Winslow in the blast radius through paper trails. Let consequences stack where they naturally land. Not the scorched earth fantasy I would have enjoyed early on. But Reeves wasn't wrong. Winning isn't a vibe. It's a process. And I was running the process now. Month 4. Vesper took a plea deal. Criminal trespass and property destruction. The arson angle got messy because prosecutors didn't want to fight about intent when they had charges they could nail down cleanly. They kept the restraining order violation intact because she gift-wrapped that one on camera. She got 18 months probation, 200 hours of community service, and restitution. The $34,000 my insurance paid out, plus my deductible. Here's the part that actually felt like victory. Subrogation. This was always the play. I didn't chase her for money. I handed her to people who chase money professionally. Once insurance pays you, they don't just absorb the loss. They go after whoever caused it. That meant Vesper wasn't dealing with me anymore. She was dealing with a company whose entire personality is pay us. No guilt, no fatigue, no please understand. Just letters, deadlines, and consequences that show up like clockwork. I didn't have to argue, didn't have to negotiate. Just kept forwarding documents and let the machine do what machines do best, grind. Her parents ended up paying most of it because she was broke. From what I heard through the grapevine, it wasn't cash from savings. It was selling something and moving money around, and please don't ask questions. Her dad had to liquidate some investments. Her mom cried about it on Facebook in vague posts about family hardship that got sympathy comments from people who had no idea their precious daughter broke into someone's house and started a fire. The insurance company's collection department sent letters for months. Vesper's credit got wrecked. She tried to dispute it as unfair and learned that insurance companies employ people whose entire job is to prove why it's very fair actually. They have documentation. They have lawyers. They have infinite patience. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. Civil side settled shortly after the criminal case wrapped. Same money, just formalized and enforceable. Permanent restraining order included. Next violation meant real jail time, not probation. She was one bad decision away from orange jumpsuits and cafeteria food. Winslow's mess got handled separately. Reeves sent a formal demand letter over the social media posts. Defamation. Not a guaranteed courtroom win, but enough leverage to make her life annoying. Discovery would mean she'd have to hand over messages, posts, everything. People who live online really hate when the legal system gets to look at their online. Winslow did what people like her always do. She tried to ignore it until it became inconvenient. She left it on red for a few days. Then she posted something vague about being threatened and toxic family. Then Reeves sent a follow-up that made it clear we weren't doing interpretive dance. We were doing documents. She folded in about a week. She posted the retraction with wording Reeves provided, pinned for 30 days, and paid $750 toward my legal fees. No sorry you felt that way? Nonsense. No miscommunication. Just a blunt admission that she lied and dragged me online. Watching someone who lives off attention suddenly realize attention has rules was honestly one of the better moments of the whole ordeal. Mom never apologized. Not once. In her version, I ruined the family by enforcing basic property rights like some kind of villain. Dad sent one text 3 months later. Hope you're doing okay? I didn't respond. Standing there while your wife runs interference for a trespassing ex and then acting like you did your part doesn't get you a gold star. It gets you silence. 8 months later, the kitchen was rebuilt. Better than before because if contractors already have your walls open, you might as well upgrade instead of rebuilding the same disappointment. Insurance covered the restoration, and the subrogation recovery handled my deductible. I didn't win, but I got my house back. Vesper is apparently working somewhere and living with roommates now, because she can't afford her own place after everything. According to mutual acquaintances, she complains constantly that nobody respects her things. Food disappears. Messes appear. Someone moved in a boyfriend without asking, and he camps on their couch using her Netflix like it's his birthright. She posted something on social media about boundaries and respecting shared spaces that got roasted in the comments by people who remembered the court case. The irony isn't subtle, but it's efficient. I also heard she tried something similar before me. Different city, different ex, showed up with luggage and refused to leave until she got paid to go away. Same playbook, just a softer opponent. The guy apparently gave her $2,000 just to make her leave. She treated it like a payday. I was the first guy who treated it like what it was. A legal problem, not a relationship issue. Turns out, when you stop negotiating with people who treat your boundaries like suggestions, they run out of moves pretty fast. Winslow moved in with some boyfriend named Jet. Family Grapevine says it's toxic because he has rules and isn't flexible. Translation, he expects adult behavior and she hates it. The retraction post is still searchable if you know where to look. Screenshots do not care about personal growth. Someone sent me a screenshot of her complaining about controlling men a few weeks ago. I didn't respond. Just saved it to the folder. Old habits. Dad texts occasionally. Sports scores. Weather. Small talk. Like nothing happened. Like I didn't watch him stand there and let my porch turn into a stage for other people's bad decisions. Mom and I don't talk. Might stay that way. Best part, the house feels like mine again. Cameras on every entrance. Security upgraded. New locks with smart features. I get a notification every time someone even approaches the door. Copies of the restraining order in places I can grab fast. Reeves's number is favorited, not because I expect trouble, but because I'm not learning the same lesson twice. The kitchen looks better than it did before the fire. Quartz countertops instead of granite. Better cabinets. Upgraded appliances. If someone's going to destroy your stuff, might as well use the insurance money to build something they helped you pay for. Every time I make coffee in that kitchen, I think about how it was funded by Vesper's parents, selling whatever they had to sell. And the Wi-Fi password? Winslow still doesn't have it. She never will. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true. I could trade you for someone hotter tonight, my girlfriend said after I caught her cheating. I just smiled and said, let's find out. She called me insecure until she learned I was dating the high school model she secretly hated, and her jealous meltdown turned her entire circle against her. Hey, Reddit! My girlfriend cheated, swore I'd never find someone like her, and thought I'd just sit there and take it. So I dumped her, rebuilt my life, and moved on. But her and her little crew weren't done yet. Before we get to that, let me start from the beginning. So I was scrolling Reddit last week and saw this post about a guy whose girlfriend was openly cheating and acting like it was no big deal. Made me think about my ex and everything that went down about a year ago. This all started the fall before last, and I'm writing this a little over a year after I kicked her out. Met her on a serious dating app. I was 33. She was 30. Let's call her Nora. We'd text until 2 in the morning. After a few weeks, I asked her out. Here's the thing, though. Nora was stupid hot. I'm a decent-looking guy. Industrial designer, make good money, stay in shape. But she had options. First date went great. Italian place downtown. Talked for 3 hours. She kissed me first. We started seeing each other regularly. Official within a month. But that attention she got from other guys never stopped. She'd tell me about it, almost testing me. Then one night, about 4 months in, we're having one of those late-night talks. She brings up hall passes. That hypothetical where you each pick a celebrity you'd be allowed to sleep with. I picked Jennifer Lawrence, maybe. She said Ryan Gosling. But then she added something that stuck. I don't think there are many celebrities who would actually say no to me, though. Dead serious. Like she genuinely believed she could have anyone. I knew she was attractive. But hearing her say it felt off. Arrogant. I laughed it off. But it sat in my head for days. That was the first real flag. Not confidence, entitlement. Like the rules didn't apply to her. About a month later, we're at dinner with some of her friends. Olivia, the divorced one with a bitter edge. Natasha, who lived for drama, and Maeve, who ran some lifestyle Instagram with like 30,000 followers. They were tight, and they treated me like I was lucky to be there. Olivia asked what I did. When I said industrial designer, she goes, "That sounds stable. Code for boring." Natasha asked how we met. When I said dating app, she goes, "Wait, you swiped on her? That's bold." Like it was funny, I thought I had a shot. Nora laughed along. Later, when I brought it up in the car, she waved it off. "It's not that deep. They're just teasing." I stayed quiet. These weren't just her friends. They'd decided I was beneath her. Things stayed smooth on the surface after that. But I started noticing small things. The way she'd angle her phone away. The way she'd backtrack when I asked about work. Little inconsistencies. Then the late nights started. Nora worked as an event coordinator for a hospitality company. Normally, she'd be home by 6 or 6:30. We'd make dinner together, watch TV, regular couple stuff. Then, one week in October, everything shifted. She started coming home later. First night, it was 7:30. Client issue. Made sense. Second night, 8. Catering problem. Third night, 8:15. Traffic. By the fourth night, I noticed the pattern. Her explanations were getting vaguer. Before, she'd tell me everything when work ran late. Now it was just surface-level excuses. Lost track of time. Got stuck talking to a vendor. And when I'd ask about it, she'd get defensive. "Why are you asking so many questions? Do you not trust me?" I'd back off. But the pattern kept repeating. I started documenting it. Notes on my phone. Dates, times, excuses. 3 weeks in, she came home at 9:15 on a Wednesday. Her slow day. I was on the couch when she walked in, smiling at her phone. "Hey, good day?" She looked up, startled. "Oh, yeah. Long but good. What kept you?" "Just grabbed drinks with a coworker after work." "Oh yeah? Who?" "Just Brad. You don't know him." Brad. The way she said it. Casual. Easy. But she'd never mentioned Brad before. Never stayed out until 9:15 for drinks. And the way she looked away when she said his name. The quick subject change. "Cool. Sounds fun." Didn't push. Didn't ask follow-ups. She seemed relieved. Over the next 2 weeks, Brad came up 3 more times. Always vague, always late. Brad and I had to stay late to prep for this weekend's conference. Ran into Brad, we grabbed coffee. Each time I just nodded. Didn't react. Let her think I believed her. I kept documenting. Her phone always face down now. Different passcode, more makeup, less sex. One night in late November, we went to Olivia's apartment for dinner. Just the friend group and their partners. I was quiet most of the night. Nora went to the bathroom and Olivia leaned over to me with this knowing smile. "You're so chill, Edward. I love that about you. Some guys would be so insecure with a girlfriend like Nora." I just nodded. Took a drink. "Yeah." Natasha laughed from across the table. "See, this is why it works. He knows his role." She said it like a joke, but it landed like a test. I didn't give her anything. Just smiled slightly and went back to my food. But I clocked it. The phrasing. He knows his role. Like I was playing a part. And the way Nora didn't correct them. Didn't defend me. She just smiled and changed the subject to some story about work. Maeve was on her phone most of dinner. At one point she goes, "Nora, you and Brad killed it on that conference last weekend. I saw the photos." My head snapped up. So did Nora's. "What photos?" Maeve looked confused. "The ones on the company page. You guys were tagged together." Nora laughed it off. "Oh yeah, those. Brad took a bunch of setup shots, probably just for the portfolio. You two looked really good together. He's a good work partner." The whole exchange took maybe 30 seconds, but it confirmed what I already knew. And her friends knew. The way Maeve brought it up. The way Olivia and Natasha exchanged a look. They all knew. That night when we got home, Nora was in a good mood. More affectionate than she'd been in weeks. Told me how much her friends liked me. How lucky she was to have me. I went to bed early. Told her I had a headache. Laid there thinking about everything. The late nights. Brad. The friend group's comments. All of it. And I realized I had 2 choices. Confront her now with nothing but suspicions and watch her gaslight me. Or wait. Document everything. Get real proof. Then make my move. I chose to wait. 2 weeks before Christmas, I was at work finishing up a design presentation when my phone buzzed. Instagram message from someone I didn't know. Profile picture was a woman I didn't recognize. Name was Ashley. The message just said, "We need to talk about Brad and your girlfriend." I stared at that message for a solid 2 minutes. My hands went cold. When I opened it, there were already more messages waiting. "I'm Brad's fiancé." I found messages between him and Nora on his laptop. A lot of them. "I'm sending you everything because you deserve to know what's happening. I found you because Nora tagged you on her page last year." Then the screenshots started coming through, one after another. 20, 30, 40 of them. I had to put my phone down and walk to the bathroom. When I went back to my desk, I opened the messages again, started scrolling through. The first few were flirty but relatively innocent. Brad complimenting Nora's outfit. Nora saying he looked good at the conference. Inside jokes about coworkers. Then they got worse. Brad, I can't stop thinking about last night. Nora, me either. When can we do that again? Brad, my place tomorrow? Ashley's working late? Nora, perfect. I'll tell Edward I have a client dinner. I felt sick, had to close my eyes and breathe through it. But I kept scrolling. The messages went back 4 months. September. There were photos too. Nothing explicit but enough. Nora in his apartment. Nora and Brad at some restaurant I'd never heard of. Nora in a dress I recognized. The one she said she wore to a work function I couldn't attend. Then, I got to the message that made everything stop. Brad had texted her one night in early November. Does your boyfriend know about us? Nora's response came through 3 minutes later. He's clueless. Honestly, he's just safe at this point. Like a roommate who pays half the bills. I need someone who actually excites me. You know? Brad. So why not just leave him then? Nora. Because he's stable. He's not going anywhere. And I'm not giving up security for fun. I can have both. I read it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. I wasn't her partner. I was her safety net. Her boring backup plan. A roommate who pays half the bills. He's not going anywhere. I can have both. Ashley sent more. A video of them kissing outside his building. The timestamp said it was from 3 nights ago. Location data from Brad's phone showing Nora at his apartment. Times and dates. Matched up perfectly with all the late nights I'd been documenting. Every single one. A voice memo that was clearly Nora talking to someone. I clicked play. I don't know. I feel bad sometimes, but like, Edward's sweet. He's just boring. We do the same thing every night. Same restaurants. Same conversations. Brad makes me feel alive. Like I'm 25 again. I'll deal with Edward eventually. Just not now. I'm not ready to give up what we have. Eventually. Like I was a problem she'd handle when it was convenient. Ashley's last message came through. I'm leaving him tonight. Packing my stuff as we speak. Thought you should have the option to do the same. Sorry you're going through this. No one deserves this. I didn't respond right away. Just sat there at my desk. Saved all my work. Told my boss I needed to leave early for a personal emergency. Drove home in complete silence. Didn't turn on music. Didn't call anyone. I pulled into our parking garage and sat in my car for 20 minutes. Screenshotted everything Ashley sent. Backed it up everywhere. Then I went upstairs. Nora was in the shower. I could hear the water. Heard her singing. I sat on the couch and waited. She walked into the living room 10 minutes later in a towel, smiling. Hey babe, how was work? I looked at her. We need to talk. Her face changed. She sat down. Kept distance between us. About what? I handed her my phone with the screenshots. She scrolled. Her hands shook. Face went pale. By the 10th screenshot, she wasn't even looking anymore. Edward, this isn't what it looks like. I waited. Okay. Yes, Brad and I have been talking, but nothing physical happened. These messages are just, we were joking around. I stared at her. Okay, fine. We kissed a few times, but that's it. I was confused. I made a mistake. Still didn't respond. Edward, please say something. We're done. You're not staying here tonight. She froze. What? You need to leave. Pack what you can carry. You can't just kick me out. This is my place too. Lease is in my name. You're not on it. Has been since we moved in because your credit was bad. Remember? You can go to Olivia's. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. You're overreacting. Let me explain. No. If you refuse to leave, I'll call building security. Then the police if I have to. Your choice. This is emotional abuse. You're trying to punish me. I stood up and walked to the bedroom. Started pulling her clothes out of the closet. Throwing them on the bed. She followed me, trying to talk, trying to explain. You're being controlling right now. I didn't respond. Just kept packing. Edward, please. I love you. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. I stopped. Turned to look at her. You called me a roommate who pays bills. You told him I was boring and safe and you'd deal with me eventually. That's not a mistake. That's who you are. I didn't mean it. Yes, you did. I handed her the bag. You can get the rest this weekend, with supervision. I'll schedule a time. Right now, you need to leave. She started crying. Where am I supposed to go? Call your friends. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands. Started typing in the group chat. Within 2 minutes, all 3 of them were responding. Natasha said she'd come pick her up. Olivia said Nora could stay with her. They're on their way. Good. Wait downstairs. Can I please just stay until they get here? It's cold outside. Lobby. Now. She grabbed the bag. Walked toward the door. Stopped. Turned around. You're really going to throw away our relationship over this? You already did that. I'm just cleaning up. The door buzzer rang. Her ride was here. She looked at me one more time, waiting for me to change my mind. I opened the door, stepped aside. She walked out without another word. I closed the door, locked it, put the chain on. Then I called a locksmith. Had them come out first thing in the morning to change the locks. Sent a text to the building manager letting them know Nora no longer had access. My phone started blowing up around 10 that night. New number. Had to be Nora. Please, can we just talk about this? I know I messed up, but you're not perfect either. You're really going to destroy our relationship over one mistake? This is so typical. Men always overreact. I didn't respond. Just screenshotted everything. Added it to my evidence folder. Then blocked the number. 20 minutes later, different number. Same messages. Blocked again. By midnight, I had 5 different numbers blocked. Then Olivia texted from her number. Edward, I think you're making a huge mistake. Nora loves you. She's devastated. Can you please just talk to her? I replied with one of the screenshots Ashley sent, the one where Nora called me a roommate who pays bills. Olivia didn't respond. I blocked her too. Then Natasha. Then Maeve. Everyone. Deleted the whole group chat. Erased them from my contacts. The fallout started the next morning. I woke up to my phone buzzing with notifications. Maeve had posted a vague story at 3 in the morning. Just text on a black background. Some people would rather punish than forgive. Normalize grace and growth. Not my name. Not specific. But anyone who knew us would know. By 9 in the morning, it had like 200 views and 30 responses. I didn't engage, just watched it happen. Olivia started the actual narrative that afternoon. She texted a few of our mutual friends. People we'd hung out with as a couple. Gave them her version of events. I know because one of them, Connor, a guy I'd known since college, called me around 2. Hey man, I heard about you and Nora. That's rough. Yeah. Olivia said things got pretty heated. That you kicked Nora out in the middle of the night without letting her explain. That's one way to describe it. She also said Nora was trying to work on things, and you just shut her out completely. Connor, did Olivia mention why I kicked her out? Silence on the other end. She said there was a misunderstanding about some texts with a coworker. A misunderstanding. Yeah. That's what she called 4 months of Nora sleeping with another guy while telling him I was boring and safe and she'd deal with me eventually? More silence. She actually said that? I've got screenshots if you want to see them. No, man, I believe you. That's messed up. I'm sorry. Olivia made it sound like you were overreacting to nothing. That's the version they're selling. Just wanted you to know the real one. We hung up. I didn't send him the screenshots. Didn't need to. But not everyone called to hear my version. Some people just quietly started acting different. Colder. For the next couple weeks, it was the same cycle. Vague posts about healing and moving forward. Rumor texts from new numbers trying to bait me into responding. I'd block one, and another would pop up a day later. Same pattern every time. First apologetic. I know you're angry, but we can work through this. Then deflecting. I made a mistake, but you're not perfect either. Remember when you forgot my birthday dinner last year? Then manipulative. Your friends think you're overreacting too. Connor told Olivia you're being dramatic. That last one was a lie. Connor had literally called me to get the real story. Then the mask came off. Good luck finding someone who puts up with your boring routine. I could have anyone. You know that, right? I settled for you, and you're acting like I'm the one who should be grateful. I screenshotted everything. Sent copies to my close friends as insurance. Blocked each number without responding. By week 3, the direct messages stopped. The social media campaign ramped up instead. Maeve started posting therapy speak. Normalize women making mistakes without being punished forever. Some people need control more than they need connection. Olivia posted throwback photos with captions about loyalty. Real ones stick around even when things get hard. Natasha posted vague memes about toxic masculinity and fragile egos. I got a few unfollows. Few people stopped liking my posts. I didn't fight it, just went quiet on social media. Then they went after my job. I got a calendar invite one morning. Quick check-in with AHR department. No details, no context. I knew what it was before I walked in. The AHR rep was professional, calm. Did the whole, this is just protocol opener. Then she got to it. We received some concerns from an external party, allegations that you've been harassing an ex-partner, locking them out of shared property, threatening behavior, controlling conduct. We're required to document these kinds of reports. I didn't react, just sat there. Let her finish. Let her. Do you have anything you'd like to share about this situation? I have documentation. All of it. I pulled out my phone, opened my evidence folder, showed her 3 things. First, Ashley's initial message, the one where she told me about the affair and sent proof, time-stamped. Second, the screenshot of Nora calling me a roommate who pays half the bills and saying she could have both, her own words, in writing. Third, A sample of Nora's harassment. 5 different phone numbers, all blocked. All her trying to contact me after I'd made it clear we were done. Plus Olivia's text trying to guilt me into talking to Nora. The AHR rep's expression changed as she scrolled through. Thank you for providing context. This is helpful. I'll need to document this and get back to you with next steps. Understood. In the meantime, I'd advise you not to engage with this person further and to continue documenting if the contact continues. Already doing both. A few days later, I got an email. Report closed. No action needed on my end. I texted Connor. If anyone asks, I'm fine. If anyone pushes a story, I'm not debating it. They'd tried to poison my reputation at work. Failed. But something else was bothering me. The timing. How did they know about certain plans? I'd been careful. Hadn't posted anything. I decided to test it. I had drinks planned for Thursday night. Told 3 different people. 3 different locations. Connor got the quiet coffee spot across town. Roman got a new brewery called Ironside that just opened downtown. And Derek, this guy I'd met a few times through Nora at her work events, got a sports bar near the stadium. I only went to one. Connor's coffee spot. Quiet. Controlled. My phone buzzed around 8:30. Text from Roman. Bro, guess who just walked in here filming? There it was. Ironside. The location only Roman had, which meant Derek gave it to them. I finished my coffee with Connor, drove home, waited until 10. Then I texted Derek. 3 different plans. 3 different people. They went to the one location only you knew. Lose my number. I blocked him before he could respond. After that, the random encounters stopped. 2 months later, my 15-year high school reunion came up. I almost didn't go, but a couple friends convinced me it'd be good to get out. So I said, yeah, I'll go. Didn't know it at the time, but that decision changed everything. I showed up late on purpose, grabbed a drink from the bar, and posted up near the name tag table. 2 girls from our class were talking near me. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but they weren't being quiet. Is Melody coming? I don't know. She's so busy now. Did you see her last campaign? I know. She's literally a model. Like an actual model. Not Instagram model. Real magazine covers. I remembered Melody. Tall girl, always put together, naturally cool. We had classes together. Were friendly, but never close. Hadn't thought about her in years. I heard she's single. Please, Melody's probably dating an actor or something. They laughed and moved on. I stayed at the bar. Then conversations dropped for a second. I looked toward the entrance and there she was. Melody walked in and posture perfect, face neutral, but somehow warm. She scanned the room and for just a second, her eyes landed on me and something changed. Her breath caught. Her hand tightened on her phone. Her smile started too early. Then she blinked and reset. I noticed it, didn't react. She moved through the room greeting people, but I could feel her tracking me. Not obvious, just aware. 20 minutes later, she made her way over. She smiled and said, Edward, it's been forever. Melody? Yeah, long time. We talked, caught up on the basics, what we'd been doing, where we'd ended up. But she kept doing this thing where she'd remember really specific details about me from high school. You used to bring those homemade lunches, right? Your mom made the best sandwiches. You were in that design elective junior year. You built that lamp thing. Little things. Too specific to be casual. And every time she'd say my name, she'd say it soft. Then someone mentioned Nora, just in passing. Some story about prom. And Melody's whole face changed. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes went sharp. Then she smoothed it out and changed the subject. Later, I was outside getting air when I saw Nora's crew huddled near the photo booth inside. Through the window, I could see them watching Melody. Olivia was talking, animated. Natasha had her phone out. Maeve was nodding along. I stayed outside. Then the door opened. Natasha walked out, phone in hand, saw me. Edward, wow, didn't know you'd be here. Yeah. She glanced back inside where Melody was visible. So, Melody Torres. That's interesting. I didn't respond. She's still doing the whole crush thing, or did she finally move on? I looked at her. What? Natasha's smile got wider. Oh, come on, everyone knew. She used to stare at you in like every class. It was kind of sad, honestly. She said it mean, dismissive, but she'd just given me something she didn't mean to. Anyway, she held up her phone. Just grabbing some fresh air. You know how it is. She went back inside. I stood there processing. Melody had a crush on me in high school, not just casual interest, enough that people noticed. I looked through the window. Melody was still talking to the same group. Professional, composed. I went back inside, waited for a natural break in her conversation, walked over. Hey, want to grab coffee sometime? Catch up properly? She turned. That mask slipped again for half a second, then she smiled. Real. Yeah, I'd like that. Melody and I started messaging after the reunion. Normal stuff at first, catching up, but it shifted pretty quick into something more. She was in Milan working on a campaign. so we did FaceTime calls almost every night. During those calls, I learned more about her life, the travel, the photo shoots, the industry grind, but also the normal stuff. What she liked to eat, what movies she watched on long flights. She was real in a way Nora never was. No performance, no games, but it wasn't all easy. One night we had plans to FaceTime and she canceled last minute. Flight got delayed coming back from a shoot in Tokyo. She sounded exhausted when she finally called 3 hours later. Sorry, I hate this part. The constant moving. Never knowing what day it is. It's fine. You okay? Just tired. Sometimes I feel like I'm living out of a suitcase, and everyone only sees the highlight reel. Another time she admitted something that surprised me. We were talking about dating, and she got quiet. You know what's weird? People assume because of what I do that I'm confident about everything. But I'm not. I worry that guys only see the model thing, that they don't actually care about me. I don't see you that way. I know. That's why I like talking to you. After a few weeks, I asked her straight up, "What are we doing here?" She laughed. "I don't know. What do you want to be doing?" "I want you to be my girlfriend." She didn't hesitate. "Okay, yeah, I want that too." Long distance sucked. Not going to lie. But it was different with Melody. We made it work. I'd visit her when I could. She'd come back to the States between jobs. 3 months in, I flew to Brussels to see her. She was working on a campaign there and had a few days between shoots. She took me to the set one day. Let me watch her work. I took some photos during the shoot. Behind the scenes stuff. Melody laughing with the crew. Just moments. I posted a few to my Instagram close friend story without thinking about it. And that's when everything escalated. Nora was still on my close friends list. I'd forgotten to remove her. 2 hours after I posted, my phone started blowing up. Messages from a number I didn't recognize. "Who is that? Are you serious right now? You're dating Melody?" I didn't respond. Just blocked the number. Then I got a message from one of our mutual friends. "Hey man, Nora's losing it. Thought you should know." I didn't care. Blocked them too. But then the real campaign started. Maeve created fake accounts and started commenting on Melody's posts. Nothing directly harassing. Just subtle digs. "Must be nice to have everything handed to you," type stuff. Melody noticed. Showed me. I told her to ignore it. But one of those accounts slipped up. Posted something too direct about stealing other people's boyfriends and had to delete it within an hour. I screenshotted it before it disappeared. Olivia started reaching out to mutual friends with a new narrative. That I'd left Nora for Melody. That I'd been cheating. That I was the villain. Natasha tried to organize a coincidental run-in. Showed up at a restaurant she knew I'd be at with Melody. Tried to film us. I saw her, told the host, and they asked her to leave. Then Nora tried a different approach. She started sending gifts to my apartment. Flowers. Notes. Stuff about how we were meant to be together. How she'd made a mistake, but I was making a bigger one. I threw everything away. Didn't respond. Didn't engage. But the friend trio wasn't done. They found out Melody and Nora went to the same high school. And suddenly the narrative shifted. It became about old jealousy. Maeve posted a throwback photo from high school with a caption about fake friends and snakes. Tagged people who would know it was about Melody. But I noticed she was getting quieter. Fewer posts. Less engagement. Olivia started spreading rumors that Melody had always been obsessed with stealing attention. Natasha reached out to brands Melody worked with. Sent concerned fan messages trying to create problems. Then, it actually started working. Melody got an email from a skincare brand she'd done a campaign with. Professional, polite. But the subtext was clear. "Hi Melody, we've received some messages from followers expressing concern about controversy surrounding you. Can you provide context so we can address this with our team?" She showed me the email. I could see the anxiety building. This is what I was worried about. My whole career can shift based on perception. One rumor gets traction, and suddenly brands don't want to risk it. "What are you going to say?" She pulled up her response before sending it. "Hi, brand contact. I'm dealing with a targeted harassment campaign from my boyfriend's ex and her friends, including fake accounts and false allegations. I've documented everything and involved the appropriate parties. If you'd like to review the evidence, I'm happy to provide it. Otherwise, I trust you'll handle unsubstantiated claims professionally. Best, Melody." She sent it without hesitation. "I've dealt with worse. People try this in the industry all the time. You just have to call it what it is." The brand backed off immediately, but that night she called me and I could hear the exhaustion in her voice. "I need you to handle this clean. I won't live under her shadow. Either she stops or we make her stop. But I'm not spending my career looking over my shoulder. I'll handle it." Good. That's when Ashley reached out again. Message on Instagram. "Hey Edward, I heard through mutual friends that Nora is still causing problems. I have more messages between her and Brad if you need them. She's been texting him again, trying to reconnect. Thought you should know she's telling people you two had a mutual breakup, and she's the one who ended it." I showed Melody. She looked tired. Does it ever stop? It will. But I was starting to wonder if I needed to force that ending. 6 months after the reunion, Melody had a campaign launch event in the city. Big deal. Industry people. Press. She invited me as her +1. I almost said no because I knew Nora would find out, but I wasn't going to let her control my life. We showed up together. Halfway through the night, I saw them. Nora, Olivia, Natasha, Maeve, all 4 of them. They'd gotten in somehow. Weren't on the list, but they'd talked their way past someone. I told Melody. She tensed up but kept her face neutral. What do you want to do? Nothing. They're here for a reaction. We don't give them one. We stayed on the other side of the room. Talked to people. Ignored them completely. But I could feel Nora's eyes on us. Then Natasha made a move. Walked right up to Melody with her phone out. Started recording. So Melody, how does it feel to be a homewrecker? Melody didn't flinch. Just looked at her. You're going to want to leave. I'm just asking a question. Then Nora stepped up. Suddenly she was right there. In Melody's space. Too close. You always did this, Nora said. Voice shaking. Not from nerves. From rage. Even in high school. You'd just exist and everyone would fall over themselves. You never had to try. Never had to work for anything. Just show up and people would give you whatever you wanted. Melody's face stayed neutral, but I saw her jaw tighten. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. You made me feel invisible my entire life. And now you're doing it again. You took everything from me. I didn't take anything from you. You took him. Nora's voice cracked. You knew we were together. You knew. And you just swooped in like you always do. I stepped between them. Calm. Quiet. We weren't together. You cheated. I left. That happened before Melody and I even talked. Nora's eyes snapped to me. Because you were already thinking about her. You were just waiting for an excuse. You've got 5 seconds to walk away before I call security. You're being dramatic, Edward. There it was. Her phrase. The one she'd used to dismiss me a dozen times. But now she was the one spiraling. Natasha laughed nervously. Still filming. You're not going to do anything. I pulled out my phone. Called security. Didn't break eye contact. 2 guys in suits showed up in under a minute. I explained the situation. Showed them the harassment messages Melody had been getting from the fake accounts. The brand sabotage attempts. The pattern. They escorted all 4 of them out. Nora tried to shout something on the way out, but security shut it down fast. Natasha tried to film. They blocked her phone. The whole thing took 3 minutes. After they left, Melody let out a breath. That was intense. They're done now. How do you know? Because Natasha just filmed security removing them for harassment. That's not the look they want. Maeve's brand is positivity. Olivia's whole thing is being the victim. This doesn't fit their narrative. They'll turn on each other before the week's out. I was right. 3 days later, I got a message from Ashley. Thought you'd want to see this. Natasha sent these to Brad, trying to get him to talk sense into Nora. He showed me because he's finally done with all of them. Figured you could use the ammunition. Attached were screenshots of their group chat, messages where they planned the event crash, where they coordinated the fake accounts, where Maeve admitted she was scared it would hurt her image, where Olivia called me controlling, where Nora said Melody stole her life and always gets everything. I read through them twice. Then I did exactly 2 things. First, I sent the screenshots to my building manager with a note. These are the people who've been harassing my girlfriend and attempting to gain unauthorized access to the building. Please flag them as no entry. Thanks. Second, I sent them to Connor with 1 line. In case Olivia tries the victim narrative again. That was it. No public post. No social media war. The friend trio broke within 48 hours. Natasha panicked first, deleted her posts, blamed Nora for dragging her into it. Maeve scrubbed her Instagram of anything related, posted some generic choosing peace caption, and distanced herself publicly. Olivia doubled down alone, but nobody was listening anymore. Nora tried one more time. Showed up at my apartment building 2 weeks later. Buzzed up. She was flagged, so the doorman called me instead of letting her up. I went down. Didn't let her in. Just stood in the lobby. Edward, please, can we just talk? No. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. You don't get to ask me for anything. You lost that about a year ago. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. Multiple choices. For months. While calling me boring and safe to the guy you were sleeping with. That's not a mistake. That's who you are. That's not fair. You're right. It's not fair. To me. But I'm done caring about what's fair to you. You need to leave. You're really going to choose her over me? I'm not choosing anyone over you. I'm choosing me over you. There's a difference. She started crying. But I just felt relief. Then her face changed. The tears stopped. Something harder came through. We could have been great. You know that, right? If you'd just been more exciting. More ambitious. If you'd given me a reason to stay interested. This is partially on you. There it was, still blaming me. You're being dramatic, Nora. Her face went white, hearing her own words thrown back at her. The dismissive phrase she'd used on me 100 times. Don't contact me again. Don't show up here. Don't send your friends. You're done having access to my life. I walked back inside. Didn't look back. She stood there for a minute, then left. Melody and I are still together. Long distance is hard. Industry pressure is real. But it's real in a way that matters. She doesn't play games. Doesn't need me to be small so she can feel big. When she's stressed about a shoot, she tells me. When I have a rough deadline, she understands. Nora was right about one thing. I'll never find someone like her again. And I'm grateful for that every day. People ask if I regret how I handled it. If I should have fought harder or forgiven her. My answer's always the same. You can't fight for someone who's already decided you're not worth keeping. And you can't forgive someone who's not actually sorry. They're just sorry they got caught. No regrets. Just lessons learned and a life that's better without her in it. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.